Duck boat Paul Pierce now celebrating the 4-year, $45 million extension his Celtics just gave to Sam Hauser? Sam Hauser?
It's not
$45 million for Sam Hauser?
Yeah, one of the great shooters
in the history of the league.
Today.
Okay,
the game today.
For a team that's built on three-pointers.
They just won a championship.
I think Paul's watch might be more valuable than that contract.
No, I don't know. I doubt it.
Or is that a little fake Rolex?
You can get this downtown.
Yeah, if you're downtown, out on the street. Yeah, I understand. All right, good morning to Rachel Nichols, who'll soon be in Paris to cover Team USA's run to a goal that Paul has already awarded Team USA, correct?
Yeah, right.
We'll talk about that in just a moment.
Man.
Whew. All right. But before we get to that, good morning to Keyshawn Johnson, who has the day off because
Happy birthday,
it's his birthday.
Happy birthday,
Keyshawn.
Happy 75th, Keith.
75th and counting, and many more. You're like, you just celebrated your 35th or something.
Yeah, 28, almost there. Almost there, getting close.
Okay, speaking of jokes, several jokes were made last Friday here on this show about South Sudan, who was obviously no joke on Saturday up against mighty Team Gold. South Sudan led by as many as 16, led by 14 at half, fell behind in the fourth quarter, then stormed back, forcing LeBron to make a driving layup with 8 seconds left. Then our guys had to survive a frantic finish to hold on by 1 point. South Sudan was a 34.5-point underdog. So, Paul, this is only a practice day game in London, but did it create the slightest bit of concern for you?
Well, first off, I'd like to offer an apology to South Sudan for the disrespect
Here we go.
that I've given them, not having any knowledge about their team or their country. So, right off the bat, I'd like to apologize that. I think a lot of my talk came off of the spread was 40 points. So, like, I've never seen a 40-point spread in a game. So, but, you know, I like to bring some things to light because South Sudan has some players that could possibly be playing in the NBA. And, you know, I had a chance to watch, sorry if I get you guys' name wrong, Wenyen Gabriel was actually in Celtics camp. He's played for the Lakers.
Played for the Lakers and he wasn't bad.
Yeah, he's definitely an NBA player.
Yeah.
But the reason, like I said, you know, South Sudan hasn't really been on the map for that long. You know, so that's the reason for the jokes and, you know, whatever. But, you know, when they got guys, they have prospects, you know, and you can't take that away from them. Gabriel Jones, G League MVP, 2023.
Carlik Jones. Yeah.
I mean, yeah. Carlik Jones.
He's been in the league.
He's been in the league.
I have a feeling after this he'll be back in.
Gave him a triple-double. I mean, who's guarding him? I mean, no disrespect to him, but, like, he got a triple-double versus the USA team. Came in, Mulak, if I say it, 17-year-old going to Duke, NBA prospect. But
7'2".
7 foot, 2. But, you know, you got to give a lot of credit, you know, and I did my research over the weekend. I apologize, and I'll be watching South Sudan more. Yeah. Because they were exciting to watch, and they really got my attention. Yeah. I didn't realize Luol Deng was from South Sudan. Yep. Or Manu Bol. Yeah. You know, so my lack of knowledge, I continue to apologize, you guys. But the reason they're at where they're at is because Luol. You know, he's put his own money into the basketball program and, you know, really developed something to make a name. And, you know, this is a country who we're gonna be seeing a lot of. And after that game, I was so impressed, Skip. And, you know, maybe it's something I said on Friday, put a battery in their back. And maybe Coach Royal Ivey, who's been in the NBA, who I played against, probably played what I said. And I'm glad they did. You know, because they need some light and some attention for what they're able to accomplish. And, you know, who would think that we would be talking about this in a loss? Yeah. In a loss. Yeah. You know, they lost the game, but they showed me something. They showed pride. And you know what this says to me also when I watched it? Another thing I thought of, it showed me the seismic shift in international play. You think about this, Skip, Rachel? There hasn't been an American MVP since 2017, 2018. Yep. American MVP player in the NBA, James Harden. Yep. This game brought opened my eyes to so many things about the international play, how they're not scared of the U.S., how they're catching up with different teams, and how players from around the country are just becoming NBA players. And think about this, the last 2 NBA drafts have featured players from France as a top pick. And it just shows you that the U.S., although as a whole, are more talented. As a whole, you know, from top to bottom. But when you look around the world, how much the game has grown, and players from every country, no matter what race, wherever, are learning the game. They're getting facilities, they're getting help, and they're catching up to us. And we can't even say we don't have the best player in the NBA is not from America. And so my hat's off to them, man, and definitely there is a concern. There's a concern for me. So in saying all that, the U.S. has some things. They got to look at this tape, because the discipline, the shooting, the speed that South Sudan showed is something that U.S. should be concerned about. And they're going to need some help with their perimeter defense. And that's the one concern, because I watched Serbia. If they had made their threes, that game would have been a lot closer. They had a lot of wide open threes. So there's definitely a concern for me with the USA team moving forward.
All right.
I'm so glad to finally hear you say that, because this skip didn't create concern for me. As you know, I've been saying over and over, this will not be a cakewalk for Team USA. I still think they're going to win. They're the heavy favorites to win gold. But it is going to be tougher to get there than it ever has been before. And I think in this game, Team USA, frankly, took a little bit of the attitude that Paul had going into this game.
Yeah.
You know, they had played well against teams like Canada and Serbia, who were supposed to be big challenges to them. So, you know, they look at the spread too, and all of that. But that's where we are right now, that even teams that are undermanned, certainly against this team, if they get hot from 3, there's always a good 3-point shooter on almost every one of these teams, and we see how that can make all the difference, especially in a single elimination game. And if Team USA doesn't play defense the way we know all these players can, this kind of thing is going to happen. Yes, South Sudan looked great. It was, I mean, if you know what's been going on in that country over the years, it really was inspiring to see what they put out on the court. But it was helped by the fact that Team USA, in the first half especially, just wasn't playing defense anywhere near the level that any of those guys can play. And you know that Steve Kerr talked about it at halftime. He didn't start the starters after halftime. He put in a totally defensive-minded unit, and it made a big difference, and they buckled down in the second half, and LeBron James obviously made a huge difference in the second half. But I just don't think any team they face in this entire run you can take for granted.
Right. Okay, Paul Pierce, if memory serves, I think you bet me a dinner.
No, you didn't take the bet.
I took the bet.
You did not take the bet.
Wait.
No, you didn't take the
bet.
bet.
Team USA would win every game by more than 6 points. Remember, the 6 was the magic number against Australia. Remember that?
Right.
And I said, nope, I'll take that bet, because I had a lot of chance that included the practice games and the real games.
Right.
And all of a sudden, that happened.
But you were scared to take the 40-point spread.
Not this game. We didn't even talk about that, because it was like ridiculous. Like we didn't even discuss. But the previous game against Serbia, I backed off, and I shouldn't have backed off as far as I did.
They didn't cover the spread there either.
Okay, you got it. And by the way, against Australia, when they made their comeback, Patty Mills just couldn't buy a 3. I'm watching him yesterday against France. He's making every 3.
Right.
So better be careful if, in fact, they see Australia again, because Patty Mills can just light you up, even at his advanced age. It feels like in basketball years, he's about 58 years old, but he still can play. All right, so South Sudan as a country is only 13 years of age. So that's why it was hard to take the whole thing very seriously. But when you look at a Carlik Jones, he was born and raised in Cincinnati, Ohio, which I think is in the United States, because his mother was from Sudan, okay? So you had that connection that brought him back to his mother's homeland to play for their team, South Sudan. So he led the G League in scoring. He was the MVP of the G League. He's had his cups of coffee around the NBA. And to your point, I hope he's back just off that game alone, because he went 15, 11, and 11.
Wow.
And that Maluch, who's going to Duke, I saw flashes where I say, wait a second, could he be the first pick?
Right.
He might. I think